So recently, I've had a few conversations about Bitcoin with friends, and these friends are smart, professional people. We're talking about doctors, lawyers, engineers, but they all made the same exact statement to me. I just don't understand Bitcoin. Now, these friends are around my age, 40s, 50s, and up, and they've been taught all their life about traditional money, but not about cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. So today, this video has them in mind as I attempt to simply explain Bitcoin, why it was created, how it operates, and what the future may hold. A kind of Bitcoin basics, if you will. But first, let's ask some basic questions. What is money and why does it need to exist? Well, money's not cash. It's not your bank balance. Money is simply a tool we need to store and exchange value. I mean, this may look like money to you, but it is simply a piece of paper with a dead president's picture on it. It was printed by a government institution. So, why do so many believe this little piece of paper has any value? That's the key with any money. Enough people have to believe it holds value. And if enough people share in that belief, then it can be exchanged for other things of value. Now, money has different functions, and it solved that problem by doing three things. It's a medium of exchange, okay? It makes trade easy. You don't have to barter. You don't have to trade your cow for a chicken and so on. Number two, it's also a store of value and it lets you save for later. And number three, it's a unit of account, which gives everything a price. Now, there's a hidden problem with modern money, and here's what most people don't realize. Modern money can be printed endlessly, which causes inflation and money loses value over time. Also, money requires banks and their systems to even use it. And using your money for purchases or to simply send to someone, that can take time and effort, especially if it's across borders. So, what if there's a form of money that couldn't be printed and that didn't require permission from an institution to use? And it also worked globally with simple transfers from day one. That's where Bitcoin comes in. So Bitcoin didn't appear randomly. It solves some real world problems. Problem number one, inflation. Governments print money, and the more money supply, the less value per dollar. The more money gets printed, the more money exists, and things of value need to go up in price. Do you remember when a new car cost a few $100s? Yeah, me either. But decades ago, cars were just a few $100s and houses cost a few thousand. But over time, the government printed more and more and more, and the dollar was worth less and less and less. Problem number two is control. Your money isn't fully yours. Banks have complex government regulations and their own rules that you have to follow. Banks can freeze accounts, they can block transactions, they can limit access to your own money. The government and the banks they regulate control the usage of money. They control the lending, the transfers of money from one party to another, and the interest on your savings account. There are many, many complex rules and regulations that dictate all aspects of your money. It's like your money is in the vault, but someone else has the key to it. Problem number three is friction. Sending money, it takes time, costs fees, and you need intermediaries, especially when you're sending across borders. For example, if I was a billionaire and I wanted to simply send $100,000 to someone for a purchase or maybe an investment, I have to get my own bank's permission to send my own money. I have to answer 20 questions and I have to pay a bunch of fees to be able to send my own money. Some of that process is there for your own protection, but it's also there so banks can charge fees. And that can be a real hassle. So Bitcoin removes all of these problems by being decentralized because there's no central authority governing it. It's permissionless, anyone can use it. It's borderless, it works across the globe. And it's scarce because there is a fixed supply of Bitcoin. Think of Bitcoin as digital cash designed for the internet. A common question is what is backing it? Because governments back their currencies, but what is backing Bitcoin? But governments can fail and remove a currency's value almost overnight. So it's really all about trust. Now, Bitcoin replaces trust in institutions with trust in technology. It runs on something called a blockchain. A blockchain is a public ledger, it's shared globally, and it cannot be altered. Think about this analogy. Think about having a Google Doc that everyone can see. No one can go in there and secretly edit it, and it records everything permanently. That's a blockchain, and many synchronized copies of it run on thousands of computers all around the world. So let's talk about how Bitcoin works and let's demystify the tech part of it. When you send or receive Bitcoin, your transaction is broadcast to a network of computers, and those computers verify it and it gets grouped with others into a block. Then it's added to other blocks, which form a forever chain. So, who or what does this? Enter the Bitcoin miners. Miners are computers that verify transactions, they secure the network, and they actually, in return, earn Bitcoin for their efforts. This is why it's called mining. And so miners are kind of like referees, ensuring fairness in the game. Now, Bitcoin works because no one controls it, everyone can verify it, and it runs on math, not trust. So let's back up a little bit and let's talk about the story behind Bitcoin and why it was created. Bitcoin was introduced in 2008 by someone named Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi is still anonymous to this day. No one knows for sure who this is or if that's even their real name. It's a true mystery on who it is, but what matters is that he created the Bitcoin computer code that still runs to this day. Why in 2008? Well, think about what was going on. There was a huge financial crisis happening. Banks failed, governments bailed them out, and trust started to collapse. Bitcoin was a response, and a simple question was asked: what if we didn't need these banks? And so you had some early adopters, which were mostly tech enthusiasts. But then investors started taking notice and getting involved, and now institutions are taking part. And that's why today Bitcoin is often called digital gold. Now, why does Bitcoin have value? It has scarcity. It's what's called the 21 million rule, which means only 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist and no one can change that. Compare that to dollars. Dollars can be endlessly printed, so it's unlimited. Bitcoin has a fixed number, 21 million, and that scarcity drives value. Now, this is key. If you remember nothing else from this video, there should be a light bulb going off in your head right now, because if you understand this principle of Bitcoin, you can then understand why its value has increased dramatically over the past decade and why people are predicting the value to increase much, much further. So consider this. As of 2026, there are approximately 63 million millionaires worldwide. Now, if every one of them wanted to own just one Bitcoin, they can't. There aren't enough and never will be enough for that to happen. So the scarcity of this digital asset keeps going up. Now, anyone with the internet can use Bitcoin, and you truly control your asset. And the network has been running for over a decade, and it's never been compromised at its core. So there's trust there. So traditional money, you need to trust people. Bitcoin, you need to have trust in math and computer code. So how do you invest in Bitcoin? So let's get a little practical here. Now, you can buy Bitcoin through crypto exchanges. Think of like buying stocks, but you're buying currency. You can set up what's called a Bitcoin wallet, or you can simply store it with a broker. You can also store it offline if you really want it secure, but just be careful you don't lose that device you store it on. There's been many, many stories of people losing the storage media for their Bitcoin, and once it's lost, it's gone forever. Now, Bitcoin can be very volatile short term. It's a speedboat, not a cruise ship. But over time, trends have historically been upward, sometimes even dramatically upward. And let's be honest, price swings are real, regulations can change, and it's still evolving. So only invest what you can hold long term. Now, where is all this going? Well, Bitcoin could become digital gold. It's definitely a store of value and can be an inflation hedge. It's also a global payment system. It's faster and cheaper transferring of money. And it's also a financial freedom tool, especially in unstable economies. Now, there's also some institutional adoption going on. So some of the major players that are entering the game, investment firms, corporations, and even governments are investing in Bitcoin. Now, there's still challenges ahead. There's still regulations that need to be hashed out. There's competition with so many other different cryptocurrencies. And there's also an educational gap, hence this video. But Bitcoin represents a broader movement from centralized systems to decentralized systems, from trusting institutions to trusting computer code. So here's what I want you to remember. Money is just a tool, and Bitcoin is a new version of that tool, one designed for a digital world. And you don't need to understand every technical detail, just like you don't need to understand how the internet works to send an email. But understanding why Bitcoin exists, that's where the opportunity is, because whether you invest or not, Bitcoin has already changed the conversation about money forever. Every major innovation follows the same pattern. First, people ignore it, then they doubt it, then they adopt it. Then it becomes commonplace. So we're in the early adoption phase right now, but the sooner you understand where cryptocurrency is headed, the better you will be positioned to benefit financially. And so if you like this video, please make sure you hit the like and subscribe to this channel where we will be updating it with new content. Thank you so much.